Okay, what's up, everybody? Next day, continuing on with the art crit and lit crit, art criticism and literary criticism. Notice there's like a lot of biography and stuff in this loose category in this house. I've just got this little half shelf in this bookshelf that's like 5 sections. I call these kind of cases overflow, where it's like novels, art crits, music, personal notebooks. Like, this shelf's gonna change more, but right now it's just like, it's whatever. But what do we have here in this little section, real quick? I think the most interesting book to me on this shelf is this Animal Architecture by Nobel laureate Karl von Frisch. What a cool thing to study. It is fascinating. Animals are like, we do not fully understand the world they inhabit. I think most of the natural world has a sort of collective understanding and engagement with existence that most humans lack most of the time. Our intellect has really separated us from things, but animals have so much intelligence, and they're incredible. None of us understand fully. Supposedly AI is figuring out the secret to animal language. That could be so fascinating. Just make a little video to communicate directly with your pets and other animals. Might have ambassadors to different species coming up, like a sci-fi novel. Love it. Anyway, this book looks really cool. I'm fascinated by stuff like this. And like animal fashion, like orcas wearing salmon on their head when they hang out in a certain area. That's so great. I mean, reality, incredible. Laphams. My God, this memory is a big theme of mine. I'd say when I started my book out, it was the big theme, and I kind of stopped thinking about it for a really long time. And other themes emerged, but it's definitely still a theme of mine. Great directors at work. Oh my gosh. I love reading stuff like this. I can't wait to read that. This kind of thing challenges me. Books about like theories of literature and stuff. But I know there's good stuff in there. And smart people I know really like that, and I've read some good quotes from it. But academic stuff can be really challenging. The academic stuff is tricky because half of it is dumb people trying to sound smart, and half of it is smart people just being clear. That half is really good. But there's some like really bad academic writing. And I don't know. I think so anyway. Maggie Nelson made such an excellent distillation of academic writing in her book, The Argonauts. She quotes from academia so well, and it's so obvious that, oh, there is brilliant stuff to be had in this nuanced, high, specific writing. However, what's this one? This one looks good. Ooh, Art and Aesthetics in Primitive Societies. This looks both outdated and great. I definitely want to read that. Bars, there should be more bars. Camera Lucida. A lot of what I know about him really appeals to me as, someone who reads a lot and writes a lot and thinks about it all. But, he's a thinker on those subjects. But, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of a populist sometimes in my tastes. I'm like, academia has been a big part of my life, but like, I think we all should just like what we like to, and enjoy it on every level that we can. This is not a puzzle channel. Haven't done this one, but I'm sure it'll be great. But this one I did with my kids, and it was so cool to see this classical painting, every little piece. I thought puzzles are a great way to look at art with a lot of detail in it. I think that is the kind of puzzle I will get from now on. It's fun to do with the kids once in a while, Cool project. Good for the brain. Probably keeps dementia at bay. Something I think about is my dad is currently kind of insane. Okay, I was going to continue out here with the art crit, but I just realized there's a bunch of paperbacks that can fill those gaps on that shelf out here. I had totally forgotten that I had paperback overflow out here. I'm going to remove all these. What do we have here? Oh, Lee Smith Oral History. Okay. Another copy of Les Mis. I think that's in there already. Oh, Candide. That's great. That's in there too. But Gilgamesh. I was wanting Gilgamesh to be part of this. Taming of the Shrew, another Shakespeare. Okay. I thought I had that. I think I got a copy of that in there already. What's this? Pulp. Oh, James Hilton, author of Lost Horizon. Another Prayer for Owen Meany. A Catch-22. That'd be cool to add to that mix. So much for adding more eclectic stuff. Maybe I'll keep pruning and refining the collection, but some of this is definitely going on the shelf back there. Okay, so I took those novels out. That's crazy. Okay, that's going into the paperback project. Not all, but some of those. And then, I'd kind of like that I only had one case full of paperbacks. Do I want to prune the collection and get rid of some of those? Nah. But I will cycle in the best of them into that collection. Maybe I'll cycle something out. I can be a little bit selective. I don't know. I kind of want to be stuck with what's in the case a little bit, but I'll see. We'll see what happens here. Just complicated my own tale. Anyway, what's on this shelf? Jack Handey. Jack Handey is a world-class talent. He's a good writer. He's a good aphorist. His aphorisms also happen to be absolutely hilarious. I mean, the crows seem to be calling my name, thought Ka. That's so amazing. Just like he thinks in these beautiful jewel-like ways. Everything in these is hilarious. I feel very connected to Jack Handey's deep thoughts. Once a friend of mine, Genevieve, interviewed him for The Alibi, this weekly newspaper, and she asked him about one of my Twitter feeds, this broken GPS one, and got a comment from him about it. I'm like, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And he said something like, yeah, I'm glad I'm inspiring new generations or something. He inspired this poet that I read. What's his name? Mark Leidner. And you can see Jack Handey's influence on that poet. Yeah, that's his name, Mark Leidner. Very good poet. I gave that away. So that same friend, now that I think about it. Oh, look at this. Selected Poems of the Tang and Song Dynasties. That's a beautiful book, and that is going to be a lot of fun. Oh, cool. Oh, man. Can't go wrong with classic poetry in the right state of mind. Oh, this is kind of an interesting project of empty signs from around Albuquerque. A zine I held on to. Mark Bayer, Albuquerque's own. I was going to collaborate with him, and he was going to illustrate a chapter of my book. He's a legend. He's been in every issue of Raw magazine except the first one. He was kind of Art Spiegelman's protege. Brilliant guy. Had a show on MTV in the 90s called The Adventures of Thomas and Nardo. It was a part of MTV's Liquid Television. And, Jack Chick tracks. I love these. So great. I mean, they're the most extreme fundamentalist Christian little comic books. But I used to have them all. I gave them away a lot. I was just not precious about it. But I collected them all at one point. Jack Chick. He was insane. My Friend Dahmer. This is an amazing graphic novel. I put this up there with the best of the graphic novels. This guy just also happens to have an incredible true story to tell. He went to middle school and high school with serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, and he wrote this amazing book. Graphic novels do not get enough respect. Why are these in the art crit section? This is kind of like art crit, lit crit, abnormal size, overflow. Okay, look, my books aren't that organized, I guess. I gotta admit, this is good. I keep holding on to this because it's got great things in it. And also, Harvey Pekar has a special place in my heart. I'll always love that guy and feel a kindred spirit thing with him because he wrote about his own life a lot and saw his own life kind of turn in on itself. And, saw the beauty in everyday existence. And, it's great. American Splendor is a great movie, too. I revisit that often. But this has, what's it called? 13 Cats of My Childhood in it. It's Jesse, what's that guy's name? This has a few good people in it at least. I like that. I read that. Look at this, the American language. I've always had a thing against H.L. Mencken because of some really nasty stuff I read that he wrote about Okies during the Great Depression. He was thought of him as human trash. And so I'm like, well, you suck. But he was a snob of his time, I guess. But still, he's got a book here that think I would appreciate the American language. I love learning about how language changes, and it's fascinating to learn about American English, etc. How long is this video? 10 minutes? Should I stop it? I'm seeing that the average viewing time of my videos are about 7 minutes. Does that mean people want them to be shorter? Should I do that? And yet I feel like I should, I don't know, maybe I should just say something here. Because like I think 15 minutes is like not a terrible length for video. I don't know. Look, I've got a long run of the Believer magazine in here. These are so well designed. I mean, just like, look at these. Yeah, I think these are like art crit and lit crit mixed with oversize. That's crazy. Ever since I underwent the severance procedure. No, that's not it. See, this, I love this kind of book, All-Consuming Images, Politics of Style and Contemporary Culture. These old National Geographics I have because they feature Peter Jenkins' Walk Across America, which was a really famous long-distance walk, kind of popularized that idea. I remember reading it when I was a kid and kind of getting into the idea, and then years later, hitchhiking in Alaska, he was researching a book up there about Alaska called Looking for Alaska, not the John Green one, and he picked me up when I was hitchhiking, and I got to know him, and I lived in Seward at the same time as him and got to know him even more, and anyway, Peter Jenkins. Also, it's just cool to look through old magazines. You always see a little something of the past. Okay, I just read recently Italo Calvino's Why Read the Classics, which I gave away because I thought I had 2 copies, but I guess I didn't because I can't find it in my collection. Anyway, but he talked a lot about Ovid, and I was like, man, I think like Ovid sounds like a writer on a wavelength I can understand, and someone really into nature and complete pictures and a lot of similar thinking. And so I'm like, I gotta read this guy, even though I've always thought like, I'm just not gonna read some of these ancient classics. Like you can't read everything, and some of this stuff looks really challenging. Like you need to take classes. But after reading that Italo Calvino, I was like, I gotta read Ovid, so I got this. And that just looks really good. I had an opportunity to get it. Oh, Harvey Pekar, American Splendor. Some of what makes these funny is that just how they end. They just end abruptly. And it's just like, what? That was like half a story, half an anecdote. And it's just cool to like see art, life transformed into art. Harvey Pekar. That was a celebrity death I really felt. I'll never forget when he died, where I was on the front lawn. Ghost World. Okay, I didn't know that this was going to become a comic book video. Sorry, but I mean, a graphic novel. It's a very good. That's a good one. This is like if Lewis and Clark were fighting monsters. I'm very interested in the Lewis and Clark expedition as like a historical event, and I've read a lot about it and read the journals, and that's kind of cool. I like what I read of that. Alison Bechdel Fun Home. This is great. This is literary. This is layered. It's as full of allusions as any Russian novel and connections and thoughts. It's interesting. It's become a Broadway musical. Growing up in a funeral home and discovering who you are. Beautiful book. Love that. Oh, Manet. Wasn't he Monet's teacher? Oh, we just lost our clean tag. Racy. Gotta love art. Illustrated Golden Bough. The Golden Bough, I think that was all the rage at some point among intellectual circles. Oh, that was a cool Wicker Man illustration. Okay. I've always meant to read this. It's an ancient text, I believe. Okay, oh, it's a study of the origins of magic and religion. Okay. that looks cool. Sorry, sometimes I don't know what I have. My collection is such a mix. But I also like Stephen King, and I haven't read him much since my younger life. I had a big phase as a teenager, but his influence on movies is huge. And one time, I walked by his house in Bangor, Maine, as part of this year-long East Coast charity hike I did back in 2001. And we walked by his house, and there was this bookstore, and it was Stephen King themed. And we were talking with the guy out front, and then Stephen King drove by in a red Cadillac and waved. That was super cool. So basically, anyway, I'm pretty sure he was telling me telepathically that I was next in line to make a ton of money as a writer. Haha, no, dang it. But I have heard Bob Dylan tell a story of seeing Buddy Holly in concert and turning that into like a mantle being passed. So funny. Oh, these are amazing. Reread these recently. Still amazing. Set the standard for graphic works. Showed what could be done. This is so interesting. Holy Writ is oral lit, the Bible is folklore. That's very fascinating. It's kind of about how the words of the Bible were put together. Let's see, more Mark Bayer. He's so cool. This is one of the best books I've ever read about art and writing, and I just read this year. It was my whole summer read, pretty much, working at this wilderness camp. Cottonwood Gulch, what's up? But this book is just so great and full of amazing, profound insights. I noticed recently that it's quoted at the beginning of Rick Rubin's book about art. So that's interesting. Oh, this video is 17 minutes long. Okay, I'll just try to finish this shelf real quick, under 20 minutes. Annie Dillard, book about her. That's cool. Linda Smith. I've not read that one. I just got that one recently from a high school's free pile. You know, this is kind of a poor person's book collection. I call myself middle class adjacent because my parents were middle class, but these are books acquired by somebody who works jobs that he would not work if he won the lottery or something. I had a rug delivery job for a long time, and I would see all these rich people's books collections, and yes, I was a little envious, especially this one guy that had all the Bukowski. I mean, that Bukowski collection was incredible. Sometimes you'd see good collections like that, but a lot of times you could tell like they were kind of for show, or they were really, really heavy on the coffee table books and things, like in brand new sparkling condition. And sometimes I found that people would have like the bookcase that they actually read, and it was like pulp and books with like 40 volumes in a series. And then they'd have the shelf that was like more in the parlor that was for show, kind of. And it's very interesting. But the collections weren't too impressive size-wise. At the time, I had almost 10,000 books in my house, and so I was like, I only ever saw a collection or two that really made me feel like, this is amazing. One time I delivered a rug to a newspaper writer's house, and he had died, but his wife was still there and kind of keeping the collection up. And it was you could tell that it was all unified by specific themes and all that stuff. That to me was a really good collection. But anyway, anyone that reads, whatever class you're from, it's a good thing. We should all be educated, and whoever we are and whatever our lots are in life, we can choose not to be morons, and put good things into our beings and expand ourselves and advance mediums, etc. Careless people. This phrase really grabs me. Thinking, I think The Great Gatsby is so good. There's always a backlash against it, and it's just because a bunch of people who only read it in high school and like not much else have made it this canonical thing they remember disliking or whatever. But The Great Gatsby it's an example of great writing. He describes a lawn and it's vivid and you remember it. A freaking lawn. And anyway, so I get anything related to that. And I always get anything related to F. Scott Fitzgerald too. for a while, it was because I was writing a character that I wanted to really be influenced by him. I was doing fiction stuff in the early 2000s. But then it was just because he's awesome. But I was thinking about Daisy and Tom in The Great Gatsby, and I was thinking about F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda, because I recently read A. Scott Berg's biography of F. Scott Fitzgerald's editor, Maxwell Perkins, and we'll see his presence throughout this collection a little bit. That was a really good biography, and I enjoyed the movie that was based on it too, and fairly recent. But anyway, it got me thinking about all that crowd again. The same editor edited Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and Marjorie Kinnon's Rawlings, is that her name? And Thomas Wolfe. And very interesting. Anyway, but I was thinking about, like, yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald was kind of a careless person. Like, I almost, you always hate Tom reading that story, but I wonder if he conflated himself on any level with that character. And even if he didn't, he might have on an unconscious level. I very much read on the level of the oblique strategy that you should honor your mistakes as hidden intentions, and that your unconscious puts a lot into a work that you can't possibly account for, and that others might find. We're not the author. Harold Bloom, genius. I know Harold Bloom has been on some lists for inappropriate behavior or something over the years, and but there's only so many people that are write about and synthesize literature and think about it, and once somebody is dead, I feel like it kind of removes the moral calculus from it a little bit. Like, personally, I don't want to give Woody Allen money, so I don't pay to see his movies, but he's alive. And I just don't like the idea of giving that guy money. I'm like, I think you're a bad person. But anyway, that's everyone's personal decision. But it's like, if I vetted my whole collection for, like, everyone's personal behavior, I would lose books. I have lost books over those things, but I think it's very situational, Decide what to keep alive, and anyway. But I do love art about art and thinking about art objects, essays on ecstasy and effrontery. Jeanette Winterson. Sometimes the subtitle of a thing loses me, but she is like a really cool, experimental, advanced writer. Like, she has a book that the main character can be read as any gender, and it's a different story regarding on how you read it. I have that one around here somewhere too. What's that called? I forget, something about winter. Art objects, though, yeah. I will read that. And what else is on the shelf? This video is too long, 23 minutes. I should have an apology in it. Shakespeare in the movies. Yeah, I was trying to own a movie of every Shakespeare play, because they're not just meant to be read. Oh, look at this beautiful and beautifully protected biography. What a great cover. I listened to that one on audiobook, but I should reread that sometime. I like Shakespeare. Oh, this is interesting. Art of the Berlin Wall. It's like graffiti. I saw this recently at a thrift store in Gallup, New Mexico, and I was like, ugh, I know all my books are in a storage unit right now, because I was working at this wilderness camp. And I shouldn't be acquiring more books, but that's also where I got that copy of The Art Spirit. Oh, and Illustrated Leaves of Grass from Whitman. Whitman goes out of favor once in a while. People associate him with colonist impulses and manifest destiny and all that. And good poets who I value dismiss him completely for stuff like that. However, Whitman's freaking awesome, man. You got to read him. He's he's tapping into the core vitality of the human experience. You can't dismiss Whitman. Come on, sound your barbaric yacht and join the freaking Dead Poets Society. I once saw this real poster on someone's fridge here in Albuquerque. This is an Albuquerque found object. This is Found magazine. Okay, last thing. These are all objects that have been found. I gave the books away during the purge. I had both the books. One was kind of inferiorly bound, and I thought I'll get them again sometime. But mine was falling apart. But I'm in Found 2, the book, all over. I have so many finds in that. This was kind of a cool thing. when I walked across the country in 2001, you would just find stuff all the time. So it kind of got, and some of them were objects of real mystery and wonder and hilarity. And I might be in some of these too. I think I'm in that, well, maybe, I don't know. Just stuff I found. But anyway, Found Magazine's delightful. That guy's still at it. There's a million spin-offs and things now. All right, sorry, this was Art Crit, and it's going to be a bunch of shelves because this is all Art Crit 2. And I'm sorry this went over time. I'll try to keep these around 10 or 15 minutes. You know, don't want to get past people's attention span. Okay, rock and roll. Take care, everyone.